on the subject of who Liverpool could play, the draw is in part predetermined based on where you finish now. So the 4 teams, depending on different scenarios, Liverpool could face in the last 16: Club Brugge or Galatasaray, Juventus or Atletico Madrid. That's the 4 different teams that are in the mix for the Reds in the next rounds. The draw takes place on Friday. In terms of his performance, I sort of said it going into his interview, played well, played different positions up the field, scored a couple of goals, should have scored 3 goals.
Yeah, you just said that, and in the interview, didn't you, that he's still thinking about that third opportunity that he had. It's nice to see him smiling, it's nice to see the boys back happy. They've had some indifferent results, had some criticism. You've got to deal with that when you're a Liverpool player as best you can, and then you've got to go out there and produce, and that's what they've done tonight. I thought the more the game went on, the more Alexis became an influence in the game. I thought Dominic was absolutely outstanding once again tonight. I thought he was our best player by quite a distance. He covers the ground. He looks super confident at the moment. I don't really remember the goalie making a save in the game. He had nothing to do. He was rather redundant, which is good. That's what we want from the Liverpool keeper, particularly at home. But yeah, every aspect of the game was good tonight. You wouldn't even know about Ryan playing at centre back tonight because he didn't have anything to do. You couldn't tell if that was a good position for him or not.
Well, 2 midfielders playing your back 4 eventually for the bulk of the game, given the injuries as well. And it's credit to that they kept Qarabag at bay for.
Yeah, it was because of, we knew with Qarabag they're going to try and play out from the back, which I think encourages. It's good for. I like when teams try to do that against Liverpool, because Liverpool are very good at pressing, and when they got that part of their game right, they were on top of them, and then they were trying to play in dangerous areas, losing it, and it could have led to more opportunities. But it was just, I think the energy levels was so different to what I've seen on Saturday against Bournemouth. I thought we were a little bit more low key tonight, on the front foot, taking it to the opposition, and when we do that as a side, we look completely different. When we play the ball quickly, we're decisive in what we're doing, playing the balls into the right areas, runners from midfield, we look a different team. When we play it, get the ball back, play it, get the ball back, we're a bit predictable, teams can get back into positions to defend against us. But when we move it quicker, there's not many teams that can live with them.
It was interesting in that interview, Jay was talking about the fact, plenty to play for, still win things, FA Cup, Champions League. Do you get a sense that the mentality has kind of shifted within the group collectively, and it's now, well, actually, the priority is the Champions League and the FA Cup? The Premier League's too far away now, so there's a natural lift when these games come around because they can win something in them, whereas they probably can't win the Premier League now. And if so, is that understandable?
I don't think there's a mentality shift and they're deciding on when they want to step up and perform or they want to turn up. I think in the Premier League, okay, to win the Premier League might be out of their way, but the Premier League is still fighting for top 4, so that's their bread and butter. The FA Cup comes every a couple of weeks. The Champions League now disappears for a good couple of weeks while the playoffs are done. I don't think it's a shift in mentality. The players thinking, let's put all our eggs in the baskets for them 2 competitions, because the bread and butter is the first and foremost of what we need. Because touch wood, we go all the way in the Champions League and we win it to guarantee that we'll be there next season. But if for whatever reason something happens and we don't, then our bread and butter in the Premier League, we need to finish in the top 4. This club needs to be in that first and foremost. So I wouldn't say there's a change in the mentality shift of when they want to turn up and when they want to play and perform. I think it's just obviously they realise for silverware that this club is, to play for this club you have to be fighting for. They understand that they're the 2 big competitions that they're going to have to turn up and do well in. But the bread and butter for me, the Premier League would be the first and foremost.
Never ever subscribe to you've got to prioritise one competition over the other. When you play at Liverpool Football Club, something I learned very, very quickly is every game you go into is important. It's as important as the next one, as the next one, as the next one, as the next one. So you can't say, what we'll do is we'll not play as well here, but we'll play much better there.
Playing devil's advocate though in the modern game, is there not evidence that managers do prioritise different competitions with selections, with approach, with how they manage?
Different clubs, but not at this club.
No, I think what you'll see is at certain times, Mark, you've got to give some of your squad players some game time. So there'll be certain matches that you'll say to them to keep them happy, because you can't keep them on the bench all the time. They're not going to be happy just sitting there every match, just being a bit part player. You've got to say to them, look, there are certain games that are coming up that we feel that you'll do well and you'll start and then matches for you. You've got to entice them. You've got to give them that carrot that they'll want to do well for the club, and that's how you keep your squad as happy as you can. But I know, and the manager will know, when it's the big games that's coming up, he'll have his best 11, and that'll be for the big games that I've got coming up, whether that's in the league, the FA Cup, or the Champions League. It's been shown time and time again, and every manager's done it over the years. You might, early on, against teams that you think you should beat, play maybe a weaker team, but as you get further and further in the competition, the more you're going to play your best side.
What kind of almost takes that whole debate off the table just now is the fact that having finished in the top 8 tonight, we don't have that playoff round. So the next few weeks are Premier League, one FA Cup game. That's it. So it makes things a lot simpler and allows the manager to focus on the task at hand, as you've just spoken about, Jay, because there's less distractions. Whereas if we had finished out with the top 8, it becomes a far more muddier picture in front of us.
It also gives time between games. Instead of having a Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, continuously, we now go into a period where we'll also, I know we've got obviously 3 games come up quickly in succession going forward, but there will also be a break of where injuries may come back. You can rotate the squad. Players can get rest because of the way that they're going at the minute, and the squad depth because of the injuries. A lot of these players are having to play, like we said before, from Saturday straight into to the game tonight. So going forward, now was qualifying and not having to play in playoffs games, it helps everything going forward with it. Do you know what I mean? It gives the manager opportunity to rest people, change rotation, but also keep prioritising game by game, knowing there's a breather in between each one.
We saw that as well with the game tonight panned out, Jay, and the fact that in the closing stages he could take Wirtz off, he could take Ekitiké off, and let the younger lads soak up some minutes, and those extra 15-20 minutes on the sidelines will do the likes of Ekitiké a world of good for Newcastle at the weekend.
They don't seem a lot. For somebody that might look at the game and go, he's got 20 minutes rest, but that 20 minutes rest is a hell of a lot. The amount of work rate that he does. As soon as we scored the third, I think the 3 of us all looked at each other and went, right, who can we take off? Get as many off as we can, because of obviously going forward, the games and the injuries, again picking up the Frimpong one. And then the bonus side is scoring goals early allows him to give opportunities to the young players to come and get more minutes, the Rios, the Treys, and even Amara. Like Steve Hunter touched on there. For Amara, it's a huge thing to know the manager is still trusting in him to give him a third chance opportunity to go and play in front of Anfield, and their nights that they'll always remember. But yeah, as a squad and as a whole, it was a huge result tonight because it gives them a little bit more flexibility to rest a few people and bigger gaps in between games.
Confidence is a massive part of being a footballer. It's not just about your ability, you need your confidence, because if you don't show your confidence, if you're not got confidence, you won't show what you can do. You'll go out there and you'll be hesitant, and when you get in possession of the ball you'll be worried what the crowd are saying about you. But tonight you've seen a very good performance from all the players. The crowd are definitely on side again. They were absolutely ecstatic with what they've seen, and even the players that are going off, they're going off to a round of applause because you're doing well. Whereas when you're not playing well and things are going against you, you're not going off with the same level of applause from the supporters, and that is very telling as well. So the players tonight will be delighted with how they've reacted to the defeat, the reaction of the crowd, and how they've played in themselves going into the next game against Newcastle, and they can take that confidence into that match.
May as well just throw up the fixtures coming up on the horizon for Liverpool, just to underline the point that now there are 1 or 2 gaps in the schedule where the manager will be able to rest players, work on the training ground with players. He won't have to ask individuals to go above and beyond and put themselves out on the park when they're not quite feeling it. That is a situation in front of us. Saturday, then Sunday, there is a midweek game at Sunderland to come up in a couple of weeks' time, but after that it's a lot of Saturdays, which makes things a lot easier for Arne and his backroom staff to plan for.
Yeah, so the next big one's obviously Saturday, but then knowing you've got from Saturday to Sunday, you can mix your week up. You can give the boys maybe a little bit extra time recovery. You can give them, the sessions might not be as intense, because then going into after the City game into the Sunderland one, by the time the difference, you've had that 6 or 7 days rest, you don't mind going back into a midweek. It's when it's Saturday, Tuesday, that's when your body starts to feel it more. If you go Saturday to Sunday to then play midweek Wednesday, by the time you hit that Wednesday, your body's still in a decent condition, that you've recovered plenty enough time to then go on to the next. So yeah, that shows getting into that and getting through just makes that all look a hell of a lot prettier than what it might have looked like.
We touched on young Nallo a moment ago. Just to elaborate for us, Steve made the point about the importance of that experience, and I guess he has to. It's really good for him, isn't it, to have something that isn't scarring for him, basically, to put it in a blunt terms. He's had 2 very difficult experiences in his first 2 experiences with the first team.
Yeah.
So to have to be able to have something like tonight, which is only, whatever it was, 10, 15 minutes or something, and come through it unscathed, no drama, that's massive, and we can't kind of overstate it.
No, I don't think you can, because, you know, as an 18-year-old boy moving away from home at the age of 16 to then come and play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, to get an opportunity twice to play for the first team, the manager's trusting you to go and do it, to be very unfortunate to be sent off on both occasions, mentally that can really, really damage you going forward, you know, and it can knock your confidence, it can make you think that you're not good enough. But I will say one thing about Omar is that he has been outstanding in his mentality off the field and on the field since he's been back around with the 21s and going training with the first team. He's took it in his stride, he knows what mistakes he's made, he can't do nothing about them, and now it's looking forward. And probably within the last 2 months for us, he's been a real colossal in our under-21s performances, and that's earned him the right to then go and train with the first team again, and it's all come round in a full circle to then get another opportunity with the first team and the trust of the manager, because, you know, the manager didn't have to put him on with 20 minutes to go and move Ryan into midfield. He could have left it how it was, because, you know, we were comfortable, Ryan was comfortable at centre back, but the manager gave him that opportunity and to give him a hell of a confidence leading in, and fingers crossed he can play for us on Friday night.
And what is really what is
What is the point?
Priority's got the job. That's the word. But what is particularly nice about it is, you know, it was a year ago in the final game of the league phase in Eindhoven when he had the first of those difficult experiences. So skip on an entire calendar year, he gets his redemption moment, if we want to call it that, and hopefully this will be the beginning of his real Liverpool career, if we put it like that.
Yeah, and a big thing for him as well was be able to go on the pitch with Rio and Trey. Like, you know, behind the scenes, day to day, the three of them are like three amigos. You know, where one goes, the other two follow, and they are literally inseparable. You know, I know Rio and Trey are training with the first team more regular, but as soon as they're done, they're back over to find Amara, and the three of them are walking around everywhere. They are a great trio of young lads with good personalities. So for him to get an